The wind whipped across the rooftop helipad of Skyreach International, carrying the sharp scent of metal and rain as the storm clouds rolled low over the city. Employees huddled near the edges of the rooftop, umbrellas snapping and flipping inside out as they whispered nervously among themselves. They were waiting for her, Cassandra Vale, the queen of the aviation industry, a woman known for both brilliance and brutality, depending on who you asked. A legend in the boardroom and a terror in the hangar, Cassandra was the kind of CEO who didn't tolerate mistakes, delays, or excuses. Her helicopter, a sleek, custom-built jet-black Falcon X7, descended through the sheets of rain like a predator returning to its nest. The blades whipped the storm into a frenzy, sending droplets spraying across the rooftop as employees shielded their faces. The aircraft touched down with precision, and as the rotors slowed, out stepped Cassandra, tall, fierce, immaculate despite the chaos around her. Lightning flashed behind her, giving her an almost mythic silhouette. She strode forward, heels striking the metal floor like a judge's gavel announcing a verdict. But her sharp gaze halted when she spotted something out of place. A janitor kneeling near the landing pad, wiping up puddles with a mop so old it looked like it had lived 3 lifetimes. "You have got to be kidding me," she muttered, and the executives behind her stiffened. She marched toward the man, rain dripping down her perfectly tailored suit. "Why," she said, each word clipped with irritation, "is a janitor on my helipad?" The janitor continued his work. Slowly, methodically, as if she weren't standing there radiating enough irritation to melt steel. He didn't even glance up. Cassandra's brows arched sharply. No one ignored her. No one. "I asked you a question," she repeated. Still, nothing. The executives exchanged looks of panic. Finally, the man lifted his head. His eyes, calm, almost too calm, met hers with steady ease. "Just doing my job, ma'am," he said in a quiet, unshaken tone. "Wet surfaces are dangerous. Someone could slip." Cassandra blinked. Did he just lecture her about safety? The CEO of the largest aviation corporation on the continent. "Dangerous," she echoed, voice dangerously soft. "Do you know who I am?" "Someone who could slip," he said simply. A few assistants behind her choked on their laughter, quickly trying to hide it. Cassandra's pride flared, her spine straightening another inch. "If you think you know more about safety than me," she snapped, "then fly that helicopter." The rooftop went silent. The rain itself seemed to pause. Even the storm hesitated in the tension that followed. The janitor frowned slightly, but not in confusion, in contemplation. Cassandra jutted her chin toward the Falcon X7. "Fly this helicopter," her voice dripped with condescension, "and I'll marry you." Chaos erupted. Gasps, laughter, disbelief ringing across the rooftop. One executive nearly dropped his tablet. Cassandra smirked, ready to enjoy the show of his humiliation. But the janitor didn't laugh. Didn't shrink. Didn't look embarrassed. Instead, he looked at the helicopter. A long, thoughtful gaze. Then, as the storm rumbled around them, he spoke. "And if I can," Cassandra blinked, thrown off by his calmness. "You won't," she said. "But go ahead. Prove me wrong." She tossed the keys. They arced through the rain, and the janitor caught them midair with reflexes far too sharp for a mere janitor. The storm growled overhead as he stood, rising slowly, the way someone rises when they have nothing to fear. He walked toward the helicopter, steps smooth and confident. Cassandra's smirk faltered. "Is he serious?" Someone whispered. "He's going to kill us all," another murmured. But as the janitor approached the aircraft, something strange happened. The closer he got, the more natural he looked. As if he belonged there. He stepped inside without hesitation. His hands moved instinctively, checking gauges, adjusting controls, flipping switches with practiced ease. Cassandra's irritation twisted into confusion. Then concern. Then something she hadn't felt in years, uncertainty. "Why does he know what he's doing?" she muttered. The engines roared to life. The rotors spun with powerful acceleration. Cassandra's heart thudded against her ribs. The helicopter lifted, smoothly, effortlessly, defying the violent winds. Up it rose, slicing through the rain with perfect control, hovering before circling the rooftop in elegant arcs that no amateur, no average pilot, could ever pull off. Employees stumbled backward from the force of the air. Cassandra's hair whipped wildly around her face. But her eyes stayed locked on the helicopter, widening with every movement. The janitor flew like a master. Like a man who knew the machine intimately. Like a man who once belonged in the sky. He brought the helicopter down in a flawless landing so gentle it seemed unreal against the raging storm. When he stepped out, dripping rainwater, all eyes locked on him. Cassandra's throat tightened. "Who are you?" she whispered. He handed her the keys, brushing her trembling hand with his steady fingers. "Just a janitor," he said, and walked away. But Cassandra knew, deep down, that nothing about that man was just anything. Part 2. Sleep abandoned Cassandra that night. She tossed, turned, paced, replaying the scene over and over, the reflexive catch of the keys, the confident strides, the impeccable piloting. None of it made sense. A janitor doesn't fly a Falcon X7 like it's an extension of his own body. A janitor doesn't move with that kind of calm precision. A janitor doesn't look at the sky like it's something he used to own. The longer she thought about him, the more the pieces refused to fit. By dawn, she was storming through her building, ignoring greetings, brushing past staff, heels hammering the marble floor with barely contained agitation. She headed straight to the maintenance wing, a place she rarely acknowledged even existed. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead as she scanned the rows of supply closets and cleaning carts until she found him. He was pushing a cart with cleaning supplies, sleeves rolled up, hair damp from the morning drizzle, humming softly as if he hadn't upended her entire world. "You," she said sharply. He looked up calmly. "Morning, ma'am." "Don't," she snapped. "Don't act like yesterday didn't happen." "Yesterday happened," he said. "And now it's today. I want answers," she demanded, stepping closer. "Who are you, really?" He paused, leaning against the cart. "I told you, I'm a janitor." "No," Cassandra said, voice cracking with frustration. "Don't lie to me. You flew that helicopter like you were born in the cockpit." His eyes flickered, just for a moment. "I wasn't born in the cockpit," he said quietly. "But I was raised around them." Cassandra's pulse spiked. Meaning. He let out a slow breath, the kind someone releases before exposing a truth long kept hidden. "Meaning my family owned a fleet." Cassandra froze. Her mind flicked through old aviation families, dynasties, legacies, bloodlines of pilots and engineers. Then it hit her. "What fleet?" she whispered. His gaze met hers, steady and unguarded. "International Aviation Corps." Cassandra staggered back a step. "That," her voice cracked. "That company, their entire board died in a crash 6 years ago." "Not entire," he corrected softly. "One survived." Her breath stopped. Her heart stopped. Time seemed to collapse around her. "You're Elijah Corvan," he finished. The name detonated in her chest. Elijah Corvan, aviation prodigy, son of the legendary industrialist Adrian Corvan. The man whose disappearance had been the greatest mystery in aviation circles. Presumed dead, mourned, gone, and he was standing in front of her wearing a janitor's uniform. Cassandra's knees nearly buckled. "But you vanished. They said there were no survivors." Elijah's jaw tightened. "There weren't supposed to be," he said quietly. "My father shielded me during the crash. He saved me. I woke up in a hospital 3 days later, barely breathing. And when I did wake, the world was already spinning. Investigations, media, pressure, everyone wanting a piece of the last Corvan. I didn't want that life. I didn't want any of it anymore." Cassandra swallowed hard. "So you disappeared." "I walked out of the hospital," he said. "Took nothing. Became no one. And I liked it that way." "And you became a janitor," Cassandra whispered. "I became free," he corrected again, gently. Cassandra stared at him. This man who had been a ghost, a myth, a tragedy, and now stood before her more real than anything she had ever known. "Why here?" she asked. "Why Skyreach?" His eyes softened. "Because it's the only place that still feels like home. My father admired this company. Admired you, actually. He always said you were going to change aviation." Cassandra looked away, throat tight. The storm outside pressed against the windows as if trying to hear their conversation. I misjudged you, she whispered. I mocked you, humiliated you. Cassandra, no, she said firmly, shaking her head. I treated you like you were worthless. And you, her voice broke. You're Elijah Corvan. He studied her face quietly before responding. I didn't want you to know, he admitted. Because when people know, they change. They treat me differently. They want something from me. They use me, or they're intimidated. Cassandra's gaze dropped. I wasn't intimidated, she murmured. I was arrogant. Maybe, he said softly. Or maybe you were just unaware. She looked up at him then, really looked. And she saw a man carrying grief he never asked for, talent he never bragged about, and a secret identity heavy enough to crush most people. About yesterday, she whispered. Yes, I didn't mean what I said. About flying the helicopter, he teased. About marrying me, her face flushed instantly. I wasn't proposing. Sounded like a proposal. I didn't think you could fly it. And I did. Their eyes locked in a tension so thick it felt electric. Cassandra exhaled shakily. So what now? She whispered. Elijah stepped closer, his presence warm despite the cold storm outside. Now, he said, we decide what yesterday meant. Cassandra swallowed. Hard. Maybe. She took a breath. Maybe we start with dinner. A slow smile touched Elijah's lips. I can do dinner. He turned to walk away, but after 2 steps, he stopped and looked back at her. Cassandra, yes, just so you know, I wouldn't have said yes to marrying you. She stared, stunned. Why not? His smile deepened. Because I prefer to be the one doing the asking. And for the first time in her life, Cassandra Vale, the unstoppable CEO, felt her heartbeat sprint toward a man who had once belonged to the skies but had grounded himself for reasons she finally understood, and wanted to share.